Thanks everybody for being here. I would like to thank Cel.Lep for the opportunity, the academic department, particularly Patricia for the invitation. All the teachers at Cel.Lep, I have been posting some suggestions in the internal network, and people have been trying the tools and giving feedback, and this has been very helpful. And it's a big challenge to present after so many good presenters. But at the same time, I have to thank them because they have already presented the rationale for many of the things I'll be telling you, I'll be showing you, and I'll be proposing to you. So thanks to them, okay? Without much further ado, let me share my screen with you. Okay, let me put here. Let's go. Yes. And I believe you can see it. Let me start the presentation here. Just 1 second. Okay. And as you can see from the title and also the abstract, my practical objective for this webinar is to share some hints and tools with you in the hope that will help you have a better experience with your students online, okay? I'll be presenting some tools. Feel free to take notes of the names, but at the end of the presentation, I'll be giving you a link to a page with links to, directly to the tools and to the downloads of the tools if you like them, okay? I may be mentioning some things that are obvious. I may be mentioning some tools that you already use, but then what I suggest is that you share your experience with your colleagues in the chat and say the ways you use that tool so that you can help them as well. Okay. If this conference were a few months ago, probably my personal objective would be to convince and persuade you to go online, to experiment with the online environment, to try some tools and see how they work with your classes, okay? I have been working with education and with technology for many years. I have been involved in many projects to implement technology in the classroom and in the online environment. And one big challenge has always been to convince people to experiment, to try to use online resources and to use technology, okay? That doesn't seem to be the case anymore, okay? In fact, I think most of the people, basically almost everyone that is here is using technology, is using the online environment for their classes. And perhaps the main objective now is to share experiences, okay? Is to make sure we share what we have been doing, the tools we have been using, the approaches, the techniques, and the activities we have been experimenting and have been bringing us good results, okay? Probably the key word at the moment is disruption, okay? If you went to a teachers' conference some years ago or some months ago, it's very likely that you might see in one of the presentations this picture, okay? Showing an old classroom. And probably the presenter would say that a person that had been put in a cryogenic chamber many years ago and had woken up now, probably would find many differences in the world he or she encounters. but she or he would be at ease, be at home, going to a school, because probably the classroom wouldn't have changed a lot. And this person probably would be saying that we need to disrupt education, we need to change the way we teach, the way you learn, okay? Well, it seems that now we are living disruption, okay? Not only in the classroom, but in our lives, okay? And everything has changed, okay? And we are having to adapt to this new situation, okay? Any kind of disruption brings challenges, okay? We are faced with different ways of dealing with the situations that are presented to us. And of course, the challenges may raise fears, okay? But we are teachers. And contrary to the saying that says that those who can't do, teach, we can do many things, okay? A great teacher is, first of all, a great learner. And if you are a great learner, you can learn many things. Probably the difference is that we chose to help other people to learn, to do the things they like and do the things they want, okay? So we are able to deal with any situation that's presented to us. And what I see around me is many teachers using two of their most important qualities: reflection and creativity, okay? And we are focusing on the opportunities that are presented to us, okay? And that's what I propose we do today. We propose that we reflect on the challenges we have when teaching online, okay? Probably notice that maybe you already have the tools to deal with those challenges, and thus minimize our fears and perhaps use our creativity to really focus on harnessing the opportunities that this disruption is presenting to us, okay? I would like to give you some suggestions. The first ones are probably very obvious, okay? These are some of the challenges we have when teaching online. We needed to prepare our lesson, sometimes prepare materials for the classes, especially nowadays when we are online. So there is a lot of digital material being prepared so that you can use in class. We always have to keep students engaged and motivated. We continue having to take care of time and classroom management. Clear explanations are necessary. Authenticity, this is probably an aspect where online classes and the internet can help us a lot. And error correction is always present. Okay, but you may say, Vilson, this is not very different from what we already do, okay? And you're right, okay? And as Fernanda mentioned yesterday, maybe the principles, the techniques, the approaches that we use today, they are still valid. And perhaps what we needed to do is just to select a few new tools to deal with these challenges. Okay. Let me talk to you about some of the aspects of online classroom. First of all, is personal space. By now, probably all of you have already decide on a space from where you teach your students online. But it's never too much to say that as much as possible, this space should be somewhere where you can close the door, where you have good lighting, and where you are not subject to a lot of noise. Then the next aspect that is very important, the equipment. Although most web conferencing software has improved a lot in the last years, they still demand a lot from the equipment and the internet connection. So again, if possible, it's always good to use the best computer, notebook you may put your hands on, and the best internet connection. Okay. As regards investment, if you're planning to invest on a piece of hardware, perhaps the best investment you may make at the moment is on a webcam. Okay, a good webcam, apart from the better resolution, okay, usually compensates for bad lighting, and it also helps to capture sound with quality and minimizing the noise. If I can suggest, I would suggest you try to find a HD camera or even a full HD camera. It's an investment that is worth making and can help you improve the quality of your classes very much. Okay. Nowadays, probably one of the most important items in preparing classes are these slides, okay? Of course, you have digital books, you may use PDFs, we may use web pages, but probably the base of our planning and our classes are slides, be it in PowerPoint, Keynote, or in a digital whiteboard. And that's very interesting because I think slides, they have some features that sort of match very well what we heard yesterday from Nancy, from Fernando, and from Verusca. Okay, if you look at the slides, you can have as many as you want. You can organize and reorganize the slides. You can change them, you can remove them, you can add them. So they are very flexible. And another thing that's important, you cannot have a whole class in one slide. Okay, so they naturally may make you break up the class, break up your lesson into chunks, into steps, okay, that lead your students to the production of language. So if you follow what Nancy said, maybe you could start with the last slide and think about what do you want your students to produce in real life, okay? If you follow Fernando, you might say, I want my students to produce this course, okay? So prepare the last slide first. Prepare the last activity, okay? Prepare students to sit on the driver's seat in the car, as Verusca mentioned, and drive the car by themselves, and define what you want them to produce. From there, start producing slides for the enabling tasks, the tasks that Fernando mentioned, the tasks that are going to prepare the student to produce authentic, autonomous language at the end of the class. prepare the students with activities that perhaps are a little bit more controlled, as Veruska mentioned, okay? You sit next to the students and help them drive the car. And the good thing about the slides is that after you prepare the activities, you can look at them again, and you may decide that you want to change the order. You want to modify the way you present the slides, you present the activities. And then probably you are doing what Jackson proposed. You are authoring your class. You are preparing the class to address the needs of your students in that specific moment in the course. So I believe slides are very interesting to plan and to present and to conduct your class. Regardless of in which way you prepare your slides, there are some things to take into account, and I'm going to give you some suggestions. You have to think about colors, text, and images. Any slide will have colors, will have a text, and we have images. As regards colors, if your institution has a brand identity guide, follow them, okay? Probably they already have colors that work well together and then can help to transmit the idea of a standard for the institution you work for. Also, make sure that you choose a few harmonious colors, okay? Not many colors. Maybe a color for the background, another color for the title, another color for the text and elements on the slide, and maybe another color for things you want to highlight, okay? And make sure you keep high contrast between the backgrounds and the text or the elements in the foreground. So that's easier for your students to understand and to notice. Here comes my first suggestion for colors. It's a site by Adobe, it's called Adobe Color. And what you can do there is create or select color palettes. You can start with an initial color that might be the color of your title or the main color of your institution. Then you select the harmony rule and you can experiment with that. And the tool is going to suggest you some different colors for you to use in your slide, okay? And are colors that harmonize with the first color you selected. If you want to explore, you can find suggestions of palettes and you can choose one and you're going to have a selection of colors that you can use to in your slides. The next topic is text and fonts. Again, if your institution has a guide for the fonts, follow the fonts they suggest because they are going to keep the identity of the institution, okay? But choose only two fonts, one for the main title and the other one for the text you're going to use on the slide, and play with the sizes, okay? But make sure that you use big sizes, okay? Now that we are online, it's a little bit easier for people to read the text on the screen. It's easier than in the classroom. It's easier even in the screens that we may have in the classroom. But still, it's better to keep the font sizes big because they may be reading on their cell phone, their tablets, okay? If you need, use more slides, but keep the sizes big, okay? And if possible, try to use the sans serif fonts, okay? The serif fonts, these ones that have these small ornaments, they are more difficult to read online. They were meant for printed books. So if you are using fonts online, try to stick to sans serif. We can do a lot online, as we already do in the classroom, with font color and size. We can have clearer explanations, and we can work with error corrections. Let me give you 2 examples. Okay, we have this text here, this phrase here, and I'm using colors to call students' attention to the components of a phrase, the subject, the verb, and the object. And if I'm teaching passive voice, it's much easier for students to notice how the format works, to notice that the object becomes the subject goes to the end, the verb goes to the past participle, and that we have to use the verb to be. If you have to correct pronunciation, and this is probably a word that many students have difficulties with, you may use font size to call students' attention to the stress of the sentence and make sure that they say comfortable and not comfortable, okay? But you may ask me, Vilson, where can I find fonts? There are many sites on the internet where you can find fonts for your slides. I'm going to show you the one I like very much, and this Google Fonts. Again, as I mentioned to you, I'll give you the link to this site as well at the end of the presentation. What I like about Google Fonts is that it's very easy to find the fonts you're looking for, because you can select the kind of font you want. So if you want a serif font, you can only choose for serif fonts, handwriting fonts. And once you found one that you like, you can check the styles and how they look like. One feature of Google Fonts I like very much and I use very much is the pairings, because it lets you see how 2 fonts look together, one as a title and the other as the text, okay? So you have Rowdies as the title font and Open Sans as the text font. And you can keep playing with them until you found a combination that you like. And then you just have to go to the top and download the font family. As easy as that. Then we come to images. People say that an image is worth 1,000 words, right? Okay, that's right. But if the image is modern, of good quality, relevant to what you are trying to convey, and it doesn't break any copyright rules. I'm going to give you a suggestion of a site where I believe you can find exactly that. It's called Pixabay. And what I like about Pixabay is that has a big variety of photos, illustrations, vector graphics, and even videos. And they are all copyright free. So you don't run the risk of using something that may break any copyright rights. Okay. Another aspect of Pixabay I like is that you can select the size of the picture, and they have very good resolutions there. And here goes a hint. Okay. The majority of the screens we have nowadays in Brazil, in computers or notebooks, they are not bigger than 1920 pixels by 1008 pixels. So any image bigger than that, okay, probably is not going to give you any extra quality when you present online, okay, and may make your presentation, your PowerPoint presentation bigger, what may be a problem if you're planning to send the presentation to students. So unless you are planning to enlarge the picture during the class, during the presentation, try to stick to 1920, and I'm sure you're going to be okay. But sometimes we just want part of the image. We don't want the whole image. We want to quickly get part of the image. So what we need here is a screen capture app, okay, that can make a screen capture of the whole screen or parts of the screen. There are many available, and I'm going to suggest one that I like. Some people have been using and have been giving good feedback about it. It's called MoniSnap, okay? After you install it, it sits on the bottom of your screen. You can hide the icon there if you want. And to use it, you have just to click on it, and you choose the option I want. You may capture just part of the screen, the full screen. You can even record a video. You can record yourself, you can record the screen, and perhaps prepare a tutorial for your friends, showing how you do things, how you prepare classes, how you do things during the classes, okay? And once you capture part of the screen, you can add arrows, you can add text. So you can use that to maybe clarify items of vocabulary, or even perhaps call attention to a paragraph in a text that has perhaps the thing that you want to discuss with your students. Do you teach kids and teenagers? Do they like comics? Do you work with the storytelling? Are you planning to use some of the activities proposed by Marilyn and Alessandra yesterday? Okay, if you are, you might like the next suggestion. It's called Pixton, and it is a PowerPoint add-in that allows you to add comic characters to your PowerPoint slides. Okay, and it's very, very easy to use. Once you open PowerPoint, select background for your slides, then you click on the Pixton button at the top and open the Pixton panel, okay? And then start making your selections. You pick a character type, select the hair color, the hair type, the outfit, the pose, and place your character on the slide. You can place as many characters as you want in as many slides as you want. So try to think of the possibilities for storytelling. Okay, you may create slides with the story and ask your students to tell the story or to create the dialogue for what they see on the screen. Okay, it can be used for presentations if you wanted to present something to teenagers, even a grammar aspect. Okay, they probably are going to identify themselves with the characters, and they are probably going to be more engaged and motivated to pay attention to your explanation. You can even ask your students to produce slides. Why not ask them to produce comic strips with the characters, and maybe send to you with the language that they have been practicing in class. So I think there are many possibilities there for you to use this tool. Okay, we said that an image is worth 1,000 words. What about an image with the most important words? Okay. And that's exactly what we have with word clouds. What you have here is a word cloud that was produced with the abstracts of all the presenters in this conference. As you can see, we are very much concerned with the students, the learners, with the language, and learning itself. Okay? Word clouds are very useful for pre-reading, pre-listening, pre-writing, and pre-speaking activities. Okay, and why that? Because word clouds, they focus on the more frequent words. They give prominence to the more frequent words. And therefore, particularly in pre-reading activities and pre-listening activities, they help students recall their schemata, recall their previous knowledge of the topic. By looking at words that are going to appear in the reading or in the listening, they may remember what they know about the topic. They may remember those words. And that way you make the listening, the reading, probably a little bit less challenging to some of your students. As regards pre-writing or pre-speaking activities, okay, the words in a word cloud may generate ideas, because you may prepare a word cloud with words related to the topic they need to write about, or they need to speak about, and perhaps giving a little bit more of emphasis to this or that word by simply pasting more instances of those words. Okay, so if you'd like to produce something similar to what you saw Fernanda using yesterday, okay, you may want to use Wordle. And Wordle is an app that you can download and helps you produce word clouds. And it's very, very easy to use. Once you download it and open it, you just have to paste the text in the tab, your text. And here I have the text of the bias of the presenters. Then you just go to the other tab, Wordle, to see the results. Okay. And if you don't like the layout, the colors, you can just click on randomize at the bottom of the app, and you have a completely different layout, a completely different word cloud. You have lots of possibilities for customization. You can choose the fonts, the layouts, the color palettes. You can even create your color palette. And once you are happy with the suggestion, you can save as an image to use in your PowerPoint or whatever you want. Okay. Let's talk a little bit now more about online classes and the dynamics and the logistics of online classes. If your desktop is like mine, okay, it's probably full of icons to programs, to files, and other things. And maybe you might want to have your desktop clean when you are online with your students. In Windows, this is very easy. Just double-click the desktop, select the menu item, exhibit or view, and then the other item, show icons on the desktop. And you can hide your icons during the class. Okay. Usually, we leave many programs open when we are teaching online. And I would like to give you basically 2 suggestions, okay? Make sure you leave just the programs you are going to use in the class open, okay? And keep them, of course, in the taskbar. And organize them in the order you're planning to use them, okay? And while you are using them, make sure of make use of the Windows key plus the number to switch between programs. So in this case, if you press Windows key and 1, you are going to switch to your PowerPoint. Windows key and 2, you're going to switch to your digital whiteboard. 3 to a Word, 4 to PDF, so on and so forth. Okay. Sometimes you wish you could have one specific window, probably Notepad, always on top, regardless of which programs you open, so that you can collect the students' language, show corrections, give some feedback while the class goes on. For that, you can use Deskpage, okay? It's another app that you install and you can find in the Windows tray. And what you have to do is just drag Deskpage to the window, and that window will be on top of all the other windows, regardless of which program you are using, okay? So it's very useful during the class to give feedback, to collect language from the students, but also when you are transferring some information from one Word document to another one, for example, or pasting grades in an Excel spreadsheet. As regards classroom management, okay, and pair work and group work, when we moved online, one of our main concerns and the students' main concern was how are we going to keep the dynamics we have in the face-to-face classroom, like pairing people up, forming groups quickly so that they can discuss and practice. Fortunately, nowadays, we have the breakout rooms in the most web conferencing software. And I really suggest that you learn how to use them and experiment with them, okay? So for example, with breakout rooms, you may perhaps put the girls together in one room and the boys together in another room and ask them to discuss a topic that might be controversial or related to gender. And then afterwards, you can mix them and have a boy and a girl in another room, a boy and a girl in another one, and another boy and a girl in another one. You can even create a separate room for you if you want perhaps to do some oral test while the other students are practicing the language. Okay? Maybe the only issue in this case is to decide who you are going to pair Palermo up with. Okay, but apart from that, breakout rooms are really fantastic. By the way, this slide is for all the teachers of Spanish at Cel.Lep that are watching this webinar. Okay, they are very dear to all of us in Cel.Lep. In fact, it's to all the language teachers that are taking part in this webinar, because we are very important, okay? We help the world share knowledge. We help the world to bring people together. As regards homework, I have another suggestion. Do you have to write feedback to students in essays or their work? Do you have to repeat the same kind of feedback many times? Then what you might need is a clipboard manager, okay? Cel.Lep is one clipboard manager you can use, and I like it very much because you can separate the clips in folders for the different purpose you might have for the clips, okay? You can create blank clips, so you don't need to type the text in Word and then copy and copy. You can create the clips directly in Cel.Lep with formatting. So you make, in your feedback, you may call attention to some words in your feedback. And to use it's very simple. If you have, let's say, an essay, you want to give feedback, you just click on the icon in the taskbar, select Saved Clips, Feedback, the feedback you want to give your students, and the clip is there. Finally, regarding authenticity, okay, the internet is fantastic for that. Okay, students, they usually ask you, oh, but is that exactly the way people say that? Is that the correct pronunciation, teacher? Okay, oh, are you sure people use that kind of language? Okay, and for that, the site I suggest is Youglish. Youglish is a specialized search engine that if you paste a word or a phrase there, what is going to do is to search for videos where that word or that phrase is used. So for example, if we go for our famous phrase at the beginning of this webinar, comfortable, okay? You may find a video with Barack Obama using the word comfortable, and you can see how he pronounces it. Furthermore, you can browse between, in this case, 26,000 videos with people using the word comfortable. And when you open the video will be just a few seconds before the word is used. So very easy to use, including the tape script, so that the student can have a look at the context. Okay. If you want students to have a better idea in which situations considering that is used, again, you can type in the search box, click the button, and you are going to find this expression being used by different people in different contexts. And this is bound to help students to understand the contexts, the situations where those expressions are used. Or never have I. Or even show them that the British and the American, they say the word either differently. They say either. Okay. So, summing up, we said these are our challenges: lesson and materials preparation, engagement and motivation of students, time and classroom management, clear explanations, authenticity, and error correction. And these are the tools or hints I gave you: Adobe Color, Google Fonts, Pixabay, Pixton, Wordle, using the Windows key with numbers, desk pins, breakout rooms, Clip, and Youglish. Do you think that the tools I gave you can help you with the challenges we have? Let's have a look. Okay, so as you can see, there are many ways of dealing with the challenges we have in the online classroom, and there are many tools available, okay? As long as you know where you are going, okay? And maybe using the analogy Veruska used, if you know you are going, there are many different cars you can use to get there, okay? And technology is a car that can take you to where you want faster and more comfortably. Okay. That's all for today. I would like to thank everybody. These are my contacts. If you want to send an email to me, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, okay? And as I mentioned to you, here's the link to the page with the links to the activities. You have a QR code that sends you directly to the page. And if you have some time, perhaps we could have some questions now.